Hello and welcome to Absolutely Not. Thank y'all so much for being here today. My name is Katrina Stroll. My pronouns are they, she, he. I am so sorry, Avery. And you can learn more about me at my website, www.katrinastroll.com. Real quick, if you appreciate the work that I do here or elsewhere, please visit the Support the Mission page of my website. There are several options to choose from to support my work, so please choose one. The key words for this episode are stereotypes, discrimination, and ableism. I encourage y'all to look up the definitions of these words and compare them to the definitions that you carry with you on a daily basis. If you need help comparing, please let me know. This episode is sponsored by Headspace. Headspace has one mission: to improve the health and happiness of the world through meditation, sleep, stress, and mindfulness. To find out more about Headspace, please visit the link in the show notes. Today's episode is titled Believe Me.
Yes.
And I'm excited to talk about it with my amazing special guest today, August Rocha, he, him, his. August is an adopted Chinese American disabled transgender content creator and speaker who loves spreading trans joy. He identifies as disabled, Chinese American, transgender, an adoptee, and a survivor. August, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Ooh, you see how I'm excited I am about the episode titled already? August, why are you asking people to believe you?
Because a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they don't. Now, here's the thing about that. I speak a lot about this, and I think we talked a little bit in our first conversation about this, but I've had lovely experiences in my life as a femme presenting person before I transitioned, and now as a masc presenting person, who sometimes in some circles passes, which of course is not necessary, but is, I guess, just a thing. People treat me different. People treat me totally different. People treat me so different that I speak about it frequently, because before, the expectation, the stereotypes, the way that people viewed me, it was, oh, you're small, you're less than, you're, and then on top of that, the intersectionalities of disabled, Asian American, all that, it just makes the situation worse for wear because people tend to just generalize. Whereas now, people listen to me more because they just see me as masc. That's it. That's all that's different. And it's crazy. It's wild.
That's a lot, but I appreciate that last tip, because you're saying nothing about you as a person inside of you, your core beliefs and values has changed. Not one goddamn bit.
Not a thing. Not a thing. Just the appearance,
But people are still treating you differently. I love that you use the word generalization. What are some generalizations that you've seen since having transitioned that don't occur anymore, I guess?
Yeah, the generalization that I got the most as a femme presenting Asian person was the fetishization stereotype. The whole stereotype around me being submissive and obedient. And if I didn't meet that, I wasn't a good Asian. I wasn't a good woman. I wasn't a good person. And how that fit into the work environment, people had that same sort of expectation as far as, oh, you're going to be obedient, you're going to listen to everything that I have to say, and I'm going to overwork you and you're going to let me. That was kind of the mentality. Whereas now I'm getting better at, sort of setting my boundaries and saying, no, you can't treat me that way. I'm an equal, I'm a person. And people will just see that I'm masculine and go, oh, okay. And that's it. Whereas before it was a whole hullabaloo, kicking and screaming and stuff. Now it's just, oh, you are masculine, I believe you. Yes, that is all.
And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. I mean, I've been there. But to the people who were kicking and screaming, and prior to, what did you do in those instances when people started kicking and screaming?
It was, you know, a lot of people talk about things like code switching, and people talk about things like, just trying to make it so the other person understands without you tarnishing your image in their eyes, because it seems to matter in a lot of these situations, because we're talking about employers, we're talking about physicians, we're talking about people in power, and how we can make them like us enough to treat us with respect, which should not be a thing, but is a thing in a lot of circles. And it's the feeling of, what can I do? What can I do for this person to see me as an equal, so that they treat me well enough for me to leave this situation with what I need, even if that's just to leave the situation alive.
Sorry, let me say this off mute. Oh my God. Oh my, oh my. And when we talk about these survival tactics, this is, you just broke it down. It's so that I am able to leave your presence, your unsafe, inclusive presence alive. I just want to be able to get what I need from this and leave. So I've created these survival tactics that'll keep me alive for now. That is so fucking sad, but such a reality for so many people that share your identities. There are a lot of identities that you broke down for us. You said, like, it, when you set those boundaries prior to transitioning, you weren't seen as a good Asian, you weren't seen as a good woman, and then you weren't seen as a good person overall. That hierarchy or kind of prioritization of identities, how long has that been apparent to you?
Apparent to me? Oh, probably once I hit puberty. Things really changed. Now, I don't know if we can get into this on the pod. I don't. You said, "Is there anything off limits?" And I said no, but I didn't know we were getting into this. Is this okay?
Yes.
Is this okay? Okay, because, all right, when a lot of us went through puberty, we, especially AFAB people, assigned female at birth people, we are treated very differently, very quickly as we go through puberty. And it's like, whoa, I didn't know any of this was going to happen. Also, I didn't want any of this to happen. Also, a lot of it is just very uncalled for and inappropriate. So a lot of it is just like, whoa, I don't need any of this in my life. And then if you're trans on top of that, if you're gender non-conforming at all on top of that, oh my gosh, the confusion. And so it's the noticing of it is, it sort of comes with you noticing your place in the world. It's like being asked, oh yeah, what's up? No, yes, it's like being asked, like, when was the first time you noticed racism? Do you know what I mean? It's like the first time, and you're like, oh, everyone who's like BIPOC or a person of color is like, oh, I know my first time was when, and it's like when we were younger. Unfortunately, for so many of us, it was when we were children. And these things are big, big world concepts that are like way too big for a kid. Shouldn't have to be burdened on a child. You know what I mean? But I feel like so many of us experience these things, and then we get to adulthood and we're like, holy crap, why do I have so many guards up? Why do I have so many, why am I so scared of people? Why am I so scared of the world? And then, it's because we've got all these things going on. Yeah.
And I was clapping during that time. I love your depiction of, these are big world concepts. These are not ideas that we're making up. This is how the world is perceiving us and how we're being harmed by how the world is like, this is the standard. This is what we're holding everyone to. The words that you used prior to that was expectations. How are you demanding different expectations now that you know who you are and what you want from the world?
I think I have a lot more confidence. So I know that a lot of times when we are raised in environments like that, we have our confidence stripped from us. Perhaps we had it when we were young children, and that light slowly went away from our eyes. And it's like, what happened? What happened to the happy child that you were? And it's like, no, I'm still here. It's just that the world is such a wild place that sometimes it's not safe to share that version of ourselves with everybody. But we all have lovely, lovely gifts in community. And that's all to say, I guess I'm very lucky to have the people in my life that I do, including you.
Don't do that. What the fuck did I say? Oh, okay. Moving right the fuck past that. But I wrote down not safe for me to be that version of myself. There's so many versions of myself that I created in order to be safe. What was the last, or when did you let go of your last version of yourself that was like your safe version? Or are you still like a safe version of yourself in spaces?
I've let go. I'm letting go. I'm in the process of letting go. I was just talking to my girlfriend about this. Okay, there's this thing that I do that I know I picked up from my experience as a femme presenting person, which is I will change the inflection of my voice to make someone happy. I will try to keep it up and like this to invoke some sort of happiness or excitement from the other person, to let them know I'm not angry at them, and to let them know that I'm not going to yell at them, and that I'm not going to chase them down the street. Not that I really could very far, but it's weird how I'm perceived in the world now and how I was then. But I also want to make sure that I am respectful of others while I take space, but respectful of myself. So I'm trying to get rid of the habit of doing that with the intention of people pleasing, as opposed to doing it because I like changing the inflection of my voice when I speak, because that's how I sound when I talk.
I love that you said with the intention of people pleasing. I do a lot of shit. I do a lot of off the wall shit, but as long as it doesn't have the intention of people pleasing, then I know, my compass is still straight. Who helps you kind of recalibrate your compass to make sure, okay, I'm not doing this with the intention of people pleasing?
That's a good question. I think the people that keep me most accountable are the people who know me best. I have a few, I guess we call each other besties. And I've got my girlfriend who's amazing. She's also trans. And so a lot of the things like dysphoria, she's able to catch and be like, no, honey, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You're fine. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. I didn't even notice. I'm not looking at, I'm not looking at your hips being wider than what you think they should be for a man. I'm not looking at, anything that makes you feel dysphoric. You're safe. They give me a nice, safe place. And, community means so much.
And you keep talking about community, and I hope anyone who right now feels like I am unable to let go of this weird version of myself in order to feel safe, please know that you have community out here. And I love that you talked about your partner or your girlfriend is also trans. Like, those overlapping identities create safety, because there are a lot of things I don't have to talk about with you because you already know.
Yes.
When did you realize that overlapping identities are so important to build community?
Oh, well, let me take you back. I was raised in a very small town in Wisconsin, and I was raised without people of color, except for my mother's side of the family, which is Mexican, but they lived far away. So it was pretty much all just, no one who looked like me and no one who looked like my mother. And we were the only spice in the town. That was it. That was just us. And it was terrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was terrible. And we were alone, and they made us feel that way. And so when I was 19, I moved to New York City. And I found that, you know, on every block there was someone who looked like me, you know? And that was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a freak. I'm not some weird like mutation of human. I'm okay. And that was just about being Asian. I wasn't even like visibly disabled at the time, you know? Um, and I know that that's not like a unique story. So many people have lived that story. So many people have been the only one in their huge town of, you know, people who do not want anything to do with them. And it's so important. I keep going back to community, but you're right. There's so much community to be had out there, you know? I know that when you're living in that small town and you're like, oh, no one's ever going to love me. No one's ever going to accept me. I am so different here. Honey, there are so many places on the earth. There's so many places you can go. You can go anywhere. You can do anything, you know? You can go out there and never come home, and that's okay. Like, you know, you can find home elsewhere with other people and they will love you and accept you. You have a home. It's out there.
And I can't help but feel like this ties into the title of this episode. Like, there are a lot of us who you thought you were like a mutant, like a freak of nature.
Yes.
And I wrote down like they made us feel that way. There are a lot of places where it's not going to feel like home. And for anyone who's listening to this, I hope you realize that those are real emotions. Like, you need to believe yourself when you feel that way. I don't
Yes.
feel loved here. I don't feel included here. There must be a sense of home elsewhere. Has there ever been a time in an organization that you worked for that you did not feel like they made it a place where you'd feel safe there?
So now we're gonna get into it. I worked a lot in retail when I was a teenager, and this was all in New York City, and so it was like nice, you know, hoity-toity, you know, Soho stores and whatever, and you know, the type where they would like make you do your makeup before you showed up to work, you know, and like and it was a big, you know, it was a big culture shift for me because I'm not, you know, I'm not super fancy and I'm not trying to be, but I did try to be for that job, and I was very sick at the time and I didn't know what was going on. And that's the thing, when you first get sick, sometimes you don't know what's going on. So what you can tell your employer is, I don't know what's going on, which isn't a definitive answer, which a lot of times doesn't go over well because there's no start and end date. There's no, you know, framework for what's logistically possible. It's just a big question mark. And my workplace took it pretty hard. And I said to them, you know, I've got this diagnosis and I don't know what to do with it, but they say it's lifelong. And they were like, all right, so when do you think you can come back to work? And I was like, well, I, I guess I'll talk to my doctor and figure it out. I had never had a good work environment that cared about me when I was sick. Finally, it made it all the way up to the store manager. And this person pulled me aside and they said to me, at the time I had a different name, but they said, August, you know, I want you to take some time off and I want you to take care of yourself. Don't tell anyone. But I have recovered from cancer. And I said, you don't want me to tell anyone? They said, no, I can't tell anyone because they'll think I'm weak at the job. And they said, you know, but take your time, do what you have to do. I will be in your corner the entire time. And they did, they fought for me. So I kept my job. But that fear factor of, oh, we can't tell anyone because it's going to make me seem weak. You have cancer. It's not your fault. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine going home with that feeling of, oh, I can't tell anybody. I'm just going to battle this on my own. No, absolutely not. That's it. Absolutely not. We are not doing that. We are not doing that in the year of our Lord 2022. We are not going to tell people that, oh, I'm just fine when you're really not, and then go through cancer. That's wild, you know? And I'm listen, I'm at the point now where if an employer doesn't want me because I'm sick, you've got a problem on your hands. You know what I mean? You've got a problem on your hands. You should work on that problem. You should work on that internalized ableism. You should work on that problem you've got, because that problem, listen, we are not all going to be able-bodied forever. Let me tell you something. Most people get to be disabled by the time they're 60 years old. That is not far away. And, you know, people think of disabled people, maybe they think of like the elderly, maybe they think of like, you know, just specific illnesses. But that umbrella covers so many people. That umbrella covers so many people that need care and need to be shown by their employers that their lives matter more than just, oh, did you show up and fulfill my quota? I know you have, you know, X, Y, and Z thing going on in your personal life, but it doesn't matter to me because it doesn't get you paid. You know what I mean? That's wild. That's wild. That's wild to me.
And everyone here is agreeing with how wild that story is and how wild that person is for believing in it. Like, that's their entire belief system, that I not being able to do my job makes me unworthy. People will think I'm weak. People, honey, boo thing, what if you had died? What if you had died?
Exactly.
Yes, Mom. But I just don't, I mean, I understand why. It is centuries and centuries of people saying that your worth is like heavily connected to your work and the amount of money that you make and your title. And if you're not able to do that for a large corporation for large sums of money, then you are failing as a human being. And for a lot of us, extracting that, even the small amounts that are ableist, like that, ableism is like the very top layer, but just the core belief that you are not a being, you are not valuable enough to be alive if you're not putting in work. Like, there's a lot to it. And I appreciate you, August, for breaking it down, because there are people out there who share your, who share your identities, who are thinking it is my fault that this organization thinks this way about me. And August, to those people, do you have any words for them? The people that are thinking it's their fault that this company is ableist?
Yes, of course. Friend, you are just fine. You're just fine. You're just fine the way you are. You're a good person. You're a person. You're a human on a flaming rock in the sky. You know, whether you know, make your boss happy in this moment, it's probably not going to make or break your entire life. Your health matters so much more than anyone's opinion, anyone's view of you, or their perception of what it may be that you're going through. All that time that I was going through that terrible stuff, everyone thought I was faking it, and it felt terrible. But I knew that I was right, and that I had a lot to work on to tell myself that my worth did not depend on my productivity. And that was healing. You can heal yourself from these terrible belief systems that we are raised with. You can heal your brain and your heart from putting so much terrible pressure on you to exist in a system that doesn't even want you to exist. You know what I mean? It's so much, but your worth is so inherently just based on who you are, not anything else. Just who you are and how you love and how you live, not how you work. Work will come and go. You are invaluable.
August, somebody's gonna hear that and quit their job tomorrow, and I hope they do. I hope they do. Or at the very least, I hope you have a conversation. And to anybody who maybe can't sip on what August is pouring for us right now, please just look back at the title of the episode and practice it both internally and externally. Expect people to believe you and believe yourself when you feel the things that you feel in unsafe environments. Oh, people said they already quit their jobs, and I am rooting for you 1,000%.
Yes.
August, to the people who are gonna kick the door down to their manager's office tomorrow and say, hey, I have some questions about just the levels of worth I'm getting here, or like the levels of safety that I'm getting here, or just how I feel about this workplace and how they see me as an individual. What would be the top 3 tips you would share with them about asking those questions tomorrow in the office?
I think tip number 1 is knowing how important you are to them. You are important. Even if they have said in the past, as a lot of employers say sometimes, I can hire and fire anytime I want to. You're replaceable, or, anyone would love to work this job. Why, I could find 5 people on the corner. You think that's not tedious to them? You think that's not hard to do? You think that's as easy as they say it is? In this economy, in this market right now, people are standing up for themselves. People are knowing who they are inside, and they are looking at their bosses and they are saying, you do not value me, but I value me. And something's got to change. So definitely valuing yourself, knowing that you are not replaceable. No one's going to do the job like you do it. No one's going to pay attention to the details that you know how to pay attention to. No one knows it up and down the way that you do. You're qualified. You've got this. You're valuable. Next thing I would say is that people tend to like undersell themselves, myself included. I would say that asking is better than not asking. Like asking for a raise. Listen, I've been at the company this amount of time. I've done this, this, and this. Where's my raise? I don't see a problem with that. And I know I'm not an employer. Like, I know that I'm not somebody's boss, but at the same time, it's like, listen, you have so much value as a human. All that training, all that time that they've invested in you, you've invested so much in the company. You've invested so much in this. Like, they need you. I don't know if I have a third one. Do you have a third one?
No, but I love that last one because there are just so many messages that we receive on a daily basis about work, and it's just about everything. And these affirmations, if you will, that you're giving to people, they'll be able to repeat it over and over again. So I really appreciate this. I think the third one that I say to people all the time is just, the worst that people can say is no. And then either way, you're defining that relationship. Like, okay, you do not value what I'm doing here, which is good. All gravy. Thought we were good. But now I know the answer
Right.
to that. Y'all are either going to fire me because I asked this question, which then y'all are toxic to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or you're going to give me a fucking raise like I deserve. And then we're gravy again. But the thing about relationships, what people don't really understand, they expect gravy the whole time. Let me tell you something. That gravy could be made out of packet mix, which then it has lumps in it. Or it could be made the old fashioned way, the old slow fashioned ways that your grandma's like in the kitchen. It takes forever to make. But you have to know, ask them how they make the gravy. Is our gravy good? Where did you get it from? To ask these questions so you know what type of gravy you have. But yeah, but I'm piggybacking off of you. That was amazing. Thank you so much, August, because
Thank you.
People need these steps. Are there any last minute sprinkles that you'd like to share with the audience? Because I'm sure there are going to be people who are like, yeah, fuck this tomorrow.
Yeah. I would say, just like you said earlier, believe yourself, because sometimes no one's going to believe you. And that's a terrible feeling. But if you believe you, oh my gosh, how powerful are you that you can say, you know what, I can remove myself from this situation. I don't need any of you. I don't need any of your support. That's fine. I have me, and me is what I need to get through this world. You're going to be stuck with you for the rest of your life. You may as well like it,
August with the fire at the end. And I appreciate it because that was somebody's tipping point right there. They're like, and I have me. Fuck y'all. Like, I am so done with this. Thank you so much. This has been extremely insightful, and just I'm so grateful for you sharing all your experiences here, because there are a lot of us who share your identities who are just trying to figure out how to be the safest version of ourselves. And I love that you're throwing it back on them. Like, no, be your full self and expect them to be safe. Like, come on, believe me, I need these accommodations. I need to be treated this way. These are my fucking pronouns. Get with it or don't.
Yes.
Just let me know.
Yes.
So thank you so much, August. This amazing human being, I found him on LinkedIn, but he is also on TikTok and Instagram, and all of their links will be in the show notes when this is published. To everyone listening to this, keep setting those boundaries and saying absolutely not to everything unaligned. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.